All right, welcome back everyone to our water fluoridation investigation. So I wanted to share with you some information about fluoride being a contaminant. So in recent videos, I have said that hydrofluorosilicic acid is a contaminant, fluoride is a contaminant, and this is not just something that I just dreamt up, right? This is something that the EPA has defined. And it's something that I thought everybody knew, but I guess not. So let's hop on over to EPA's website and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, let's go. Okay, guys, so if we do a Google search for the National Primary Drinking Water Regulations, you should see something like this, National Primary Drinking Water Regulations. This is the Environmental Protection Agency. So we're going to click on right here. And what this is are legally enforceable primary standards and treatment techniques that apply to public water systems. Okay, so let's do a quick search for lead, and you will see that the maximum contaminant level goal for lead is 0. If you scroll up just a little bit, you'll see what I'm talking about. So up here, we've got the list of the contaminant. This is the maximum contaminant level goal, maximum contaminant level, and then they list the potential health effects from long-term exposure. Okay. And then we have the source of the contaminant in the drinking water. So again, the level for lead is 0. Right above lead, smack dab in between. So you have fluoride and and it's in between cyanide and lead. Okay, so cyanide, there's nerve damage or thyroid problems, and the source is going to be discharge from steel metal factories, discharge from plastic and fertilizer factories. Holy cow. Okay, so now we've got fluoride. And what is the maximum contaminant level goal? It is 4 parts per million, or 4 milligrams per liter. And then the maximum contaminant level is going to be 4 as well. And what are the adverse events, otherwise known as the health problems? It's going to be bone disease, pain and tenderness of the bones. And children may get mottled teeth. When they say bone disease, what they're saying is you will develop crippling skeletal fluorosis. And when they say mottled teeth, they mean that your teeth will become splotchy and brown and even pitted. And I'll show you guys dental fluorosis. So after you're exposed to fluoride, you, for a while at this level, you are going to be damaged. Okay, and they acknowledge your children are going to be damaged. Now, this level of 4.0 parts per million, I imagine is soon going to be lowered, because the National Toxicology Program has acknowledged that fluoride causes harm at levels that are currently being added to the drinking water. Now, here's the really important part. So remember I said we've got cyanide, and over here, this is the list. This is the source of the contamination, discharge from steel factories. We've got lead over here. The source is going to be corrosion of household plumbing systems and erosion of natural deposits. Now, for fluoride, where's the source? It says water additive which promotes strong teeth, meaning that the hydrofluorosilicic acid that is being added into your drinking water is not only considered a contaminant according to the EPA, but they also categorize it as an additive. And so they're acknowledging that this additive is being added into your drinking water to promote strong teeth, which, if you recall, that in 1999, CDC acknowledged that you don't want to ingest fluoride because it will cause your teeth to become disfigured, right? It'll cause dental fluorosis. So the EPA acknowledges that the source of this contaminant that causes children's teeth to become disfigured and causes bone disease comes from your own waterworks deliberately adding it into your drinking water. So when they say the water additive which promotes strong teeth, this is when Henrico goes and purchases a hazardous waste byproduct, hydrofluorosilicic acid, from Univar Solutions, and then they add it into your drinking water. That is the source of the contamination, okay? The source of the contamination is Henrico County, to put it plainly. Again, the source of the contamination that causes bone disease and dental fluorosis, or you could call it mottled teeth, is coming from Henrico County, okay? Now, they also say erosion of natural deposits. That's not really going to be the case when it comes to Henrico. They purchase the fluoride, hydrofluorosilicic acid, and dump it into our community public drinking water. Now, where else is the source of this contamination? The source of this contamination is a discharge from the fertilizer and aluminum factories, meaning when they say discharge, that fertilizer and aluminum factories has a hazardous waste. It goes into the air. They have to capture it with wet scrubbers. It can go into the water. And so eventually this harmful substance can make its way into your drinking water. So again, to put this plainly, the source of this contaminant, fluoride, the source of this contaminant when it comes to Henrico is from the Henrico Board of Supervisors, the county manager, the DPU director, the waterworks operator. They are the source of the contaminant that's being added to your drinking water, okay? Now, we know that levels under 4 parts per million harms human health. It harms your thyroid, it harms your bones, it harms your brain. So again, when I say that hydrofluorosilicic acid or fluoride is a contaminant, this is not hyperbole, okay? This is according to the EPA definition. And I'll show you guys another image over here. I thought this image was really good as well. So let's look at fluoride. Again, contaminant, look, they put it right at the top, okay? This is a contaminant that the EPA puts limits on because it harms your health. We know it harms your health, okay? They recognize it at 4.0 parts per million. Again, it appears that they're going to be lowering the level because the National Toxicology Program has recognized that it causes, it's a cognitive neurodevelopmental hazard to humans. Okay, guys? Okay, guys, so there you have it. The next time somebody tries to question you about fluoride being a contaminant, you can let them know that it is in fact a contaminant. The EPA defines it as a contaminant, and the EPA defines it as a contaminant that can actually cause harm to human health, okay? At the levels that when it says, bone problems, they're talking about crippling skeletal fluorosis, okay? So there's a lot of harms that occur in your body well before you reach the point of crippling, okay? And so if you know that this contaminant is harmful to human health to the point where EPA says like, hey, we're not going to allow it to go any higher. So why would you go out of your way to add that contaminant into the drinking water, right? Again, people want to say, well, it prevents cavities. The Cochrane collaboration, their review said if you have one cavity, it actually prevents a quarter of one cavity, right? That's so small and marginal. And I do not think it's ethical for Henrico to put a contaminant into the drinking water that possibly prevents a quarter of a cavity in exchange for damaging your brain, right? Just because it reduces a part of a cavity doesn't mean they should be deciding that we're going to damage your brain to prevent a quarter of a cavity, right? Why does the county of Henrico get to make that decision for everybody? Henrico is essentially saying we're going to damage your thyroid to reduce a quarter of a cavity. We're going to damage your bones for a quarter of a cavity. We're going to damage your teeth, right, by causing dental fluorosis for a quarter of a cavity. I don't think that it's ethical for Henrico County to be making that decision. And in all honesty, you know, given the fact that the FDA is going to be banning they're going to be essentially preventing doctors from being able to write prescriptions for fluoride because it's so damaging. Why are they doing this? You know, this is insane. It's absolutely insane. You don't damage people's brains. Like, why does Henrico think that they have the authority to make that decision? Imagine if you're, you know, some poor person and, you know, you're smoking a bunch of drugs while you're pregnant. You lose that child when you give birth because you're endangering that child. I would imagine that if you're the county of Henrico and you're putting this contaminant into the drinking water that's damaging their thyroid, their bones, their teeth, their brains, their pineal gland, their enzymes, their mitochondria, their testosterone, I would think that that would constitute as child neglect, in my opinion. But you let me know what you think. That's all I have to say about that. Bye, guys.